then how many words do we throw at the dog? Enough to start a dictionary, right? Stop, stay, sit, get down. Ah, why are you doing that? How many times do I have to tell you? Right? And would anyone think that English is a dog's first language? That they understand all of those words, all that frustration, all that? It's not their first language. They learn words, don't get me wrong. They can learn our vocabulary, but not everything in between. Stop doing that. How many times will you get back? Go sit in the kitchen. Go right now. Go sit down. Go sit down. And that frustration, that anger. We talk way too much. Dogs don't talk very much to each other. They're very minimalist when they communicate. Too many words, it's too distracting to a dog. You know, it has no idea. Think about it as you could speak some French. You're not fluent. You get certain words, but somebody speaking French fluently, you sit there scratching your head wondering what exactly. I've heard hello. I've heard, enter. I've heard open. I know the basics. It's just me. But I don't know everything in between. But we want to talk to a dog like they're human, when in fact it is not their first language. And that's why we understand that the best language to do it is in their language when they're wrong. Instead of making them sit or distracting them when they're wrong. We firmly believe that when you teach a dog it's wrong, it'll make that decision on its own, what to do when that next situation comes up. Like how your parents taught you, for when they weren't around, not that they're always going to have to be with you their whole life. You learn how to survive in life based on what they taught you when you were growing up. And getting frustrated. That's the easiest one with a dog, right? They frustrate the heck out of you. How many times have you seen people, I'm at my wit's end. I've had a lot of times folks say to me, this doesn't work, it's gone, because I just don't know what else to do. I tried everything. Just like that guy that took it to Connecticut. He was at his wit's end, and he spent huge dollars and didn't correct the dog's fear. Made him run over picnic tables and training things so the dog would pay attention to them, but not when the dog was fearful. Didn't fix the dog's fear, and that's the key. So, anybody have any questions as to what we talked about today? This sort of made some. Yes, ma'am.
Just when you're talking about, say, if someone enters and you start growling as their correction because they're going, I've been told sometimes not to do that or not to get angry at the dog when it's doing something like that, because then it associates getting in trouble with new people coming in, and then it can become negative towards those people because that's the association that it makes.
Well, see, the difference is, though, I agree, don't get angry. But when you want to tell him that something's not right, you use body language, and you tell him that behavior he's doing. He won't associate that I'm going to bite somebody, that I'm mad at them. See, when a dog growls, the dog wants to take another dog's food, and they growl. They're not saying, I'm mad at you, I'm angry. They're saying, don't touch my food. There's no emotion, there's no fear of anything. It's saying, I don't like what you're doing. So, if you use body language to teach a dog, which is, remember we said, it's the biggest way they communicate. This is the part that gets missed every time they communicate. Because, for example, we want to teach our dog walking to the door like this. So what's the dog seeing from you? Which body language? Submission, right? So why would it stay? Whereas the dog sees dominant body language, oh, you're pretty tough, I have to respect you. But it doesn't create, growling doesn't create fear. It doesn't create the association that there's something to be, because it's the leader that's saying, don't worry about things. I do this all the time in the fact that folks come in, the dog's jumping everywhere, the owners teach, they work consistently, practice, and the dog, next time I go back, I go in, the dog's sitting in the kitchen, sitting in the room, looking at me. Then I'll come whenever I'm allowed to. But it doesn't create in the dog, oh, I'm afraid of you, because he's actually looking at the owner that's telling him what to do. The person isn't doing anything. Does that make sense? You see,
that's the same with if they're already, say, slightly aggressive to people coming in, though, as well? Is that the same approach?
Yeah, because, again, a lot of dog aggression or people aggression. Well, yeah, because the dog is saying, okay, I'm in such a tense state that I'm ready, and I'm gonna go first, I'm gonna be proactive. Whereas the owner has to say, no, I've got that person. You're wrong for worrying about that person. That's what's causing the fear. And the dog goes, okay, I had him, honestly, I'll tell you this one quick story before I just get to your question. In Elmira, a dog jumping as high as my head. I'm outside the patio door for safety when they clients first do the exercise. And this little dog, the Australian Shepherd, jumping as high as my head, both feet. Growling, snarling, that's why they call it. Because it barks and wants to attack everybody that comes in. I get the owners to correct the dog, get the owners to lead the dog. I leave, doing the invoice and the work plan, the dog's laying in the sunken living room. In fact, at one point, they had to find the dog. Where did the bear go? My son went in, the dog's in a room sleeping, laying on the floor, sprawled out, and the client said to me, nobody's been in this house in the whole 6 years that the bear has been with us, without him being outside, in his pen, or in that room, with the door closed, because he's so aggressive. Just laying there sleeping. I leave, he's in the sunken living room, sleeping away, and I'm there, and if he looked at me, like the first couple times he came out and looked at me with bad intention, I called it. The owner corrected him. Oh, right, I'm not supposed to. The dog said, great, I'm off duty, I'm going to sleep. And that's why it left. So you take anxiety away from the dog, then you get the dog more chill and more relaxed. So, yes ma'am, sorry.
I was just wondering, I'm presuming that you're supporting that you are the dominant dog in their mind. What if that dominant dog then challenges you? It wants to be more dominant than you are.
And it's very common that it will do that as training begins. To the owner, say, okay, I've been running the show for 6 years. What if I'm gonna test you? It's a week later, but it's you having to win. And there's techniques I show folks that says, you're backing down to me. Do you know what I mean? Because not every challenge is I'm gonna attack you and bite you in terms of aggression. You know, a dog saying I'm gonna challenge by nipping at you, but it's like a dog who finds growls at you. I just got an email this morning from a lady I was at Sunday. She stands up, the dog growls. Just tested her, saying, don't even think of it. She growls back, stands there with this. Dominant body language, like, you want to try me there, Dino? A 9-month-old short-haired terrier. I mean, it's not tough at all. It isn't. It's submitted so easily, submitted very easily to the verbal corrections and things. Then she said, I stand up, I correct him with the growly sound. He said, he walks away, I call him over, he's all happy, but he's testing us. He said, are you tough? So it's a matter of, you always have to win them. That's the key. If you back down to your dog, if you allow them to win, who's tougher? They are, and then therefore the respect goes away. Because in a pack, think of it, the toughest dog leads, the most dominant temperament. There's not a lot of dominant temperaments, luckily. Otherwise, it fights all the time. But there are some. But that you can still be more dominant. And what I teach folks in their home is how to win. Not being physical, but the dog has to back down. And a lot of times what happens is people think the dog is dominant, but it's really not. You know, it's acting dominant, but it's really not. Temperament is much further down the scale. It appears dominant. It's growling, it's doing all the things we associate with a dominant dog, but it's really a dog saying, I've been running the show for 8 years, what the hell are you doing? Trying to take over now? No, I'm taking over, pal. And folks understand that that's what a dog has to say, and the dog goes, okay, you're tougher. How do I run this? What do you want me to do? So I'm just saying it's a lot of times we associate dominance and aggression in the wrong way. It's what they feel they have to be as a freaked out leader, as a freaked out stressed dog. They show dominance because that's what they have to be tough. But really, ultimately, they're not tough. It's like two, yabos in a bar. Yeah, you back down. No, you back down. No, you back down. What are you doing? Okay, got it. Okay. One backs away, even though it looked tough, looked big, but it's really not. Yes, ma'am.
How do you figure out if you've got a dog that has dominance issues with other dogs and extreme submission with people?
How do you figure it out?
Like how would you balance correction and things like that? Your correction leads them to act extremely submissive, but then with other dogs they are trying to be extremely dominant.
Yeah, because that's the mother load of adrenaline, other dogs. I do it almost all the time, dog aggression, right, on walks and things. But it still has to be that the owner says, hey, I'm running the show. You respect me enough that when I tell you that you shouldn't be doing that behavior, when I correct your behavior, you listen to me. Right. Make anyone dizzy, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you respect me enough that I tell you you're wrong. You walk by that dog. Don't worry about that dog. You see, so it's a very common thing. And think about leashes, by the way. What is every animal, even us, have two ways of... what do we do, every animal do, two options for defense? What are they, you know? I thought I heard it over here. Does anyone? The old F or F, anyone know that? Fight or flight. So what does a leash do to a dog? What does it take away its ability to do? So it can increase in an aggression that is maybe this big. Okay, I'm 5 feet back. Where do I go? If I want to run like hell, I can go 6 feet. It's on, pal. Because and that's what happens. I have many clients